Thank you all for attending today. I'm excited to share this presentation with you. We will be covering the benefits of upgrading to the current version of ARCHICAD and reviewing some of the key features from previous releases of ARCHICAD all the way back to version 12. I want to do a quick audio check before we begin. If you can hear me, then please be patient for a moment while I display this slide for those who may not be able to hear me. We want to make sure that everyone can enjoy the presentation. If you can hear my voice, then you need to do nothing. And again, we appreciate your patience. If you cannot hear me, try hanging up and calling again, or quit the GoToWebinar and log into the webinar again. I'm sure that you will have some questions during the webinar. Please feel free to type these questions into the GoToWebinar panel. At the end of the webinar, I'll do my best to answer some of them, and any questions that we don't have time to cover, we will follow up with you after the webinar to make sure that all of your questions are answered. This presentation is copyrighted. Please let us know if you would like to reuse any of the content shown today. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Kyla Kuhnlein. I am an architect and BIM specialist at GRAPHISOFT North America, and I am currently based in Los Angeles, California. I conduct ARCHICAD classes in Southern California. I provide implementation and strategy training, and I am currently developing GRAPHISOFT's virtual learning program. The goal of today's webinar is to highlight some features of the latest versions and provide you with the benefits of upgrading to the latest version of ARCHICAD. We have a partner website that allows you to create an upgrade calculation by selecting your current version of ARCHICAD and seeing all the new features you will receive by upgrading to the latest version. This is not only useful to see what you may be missing out on, but also to see all the added features for each version. I'll leave the slide up for a moment if you'd like to take down the web address. A continuing focus of ARCHICAD is open collaboration. We are always working to collaborate with as many software applications as possible and achieve a truly open BIM platform. This is a nice diagram to show the majority of the file types we currently are available to import and export. A highlight from this year is the live connection and partnership with Rhino and Grasshopper. This live direct link in ARCHICAD connects the best design tools for the different design stages. These tools fill the gap in the design process between early stage design and building information modeling. They offer solutions for seamless bidirectional geometry transfer, as well as a way to translate basic geometrical data into full BIM elements while adding algorithmic editing functionality. What is Grasshopper? Grasshopper is a node-based algorithm editor integrated with Rhino modeling tools. Algorithms are used to describe logical relationships between multiple design parameters. The key features and benefits of the live connection is that we're able to translate geometry created in Rhino into BIM construction elements. The bidirectional connection also means there's no need to export or import files for data exchange, and the connection is live or dynamic, meaning that the connection stays live while you're editing. The direct and simultaneous graphical feedback from both Rhino and ARCHICAD is really a huge benefit to the early schematic design, as well as any NURB geometry or algorithmic design you'd like to work on. Now let's go through some of the key features from the newer versions of ARCHICAD that are available. I'd like to start with ARCHICAD 12, which introduced 3D documents. The 3D document allows you to either cut from the floor plan or the 3D view of the model, as the basis for creating a document, to which you can add dimensions, labels, and additional 2D drawing elements. A key thing to note here is that the 3D document is live to the model and revisions stay current. Because it's not possible to add dimensions and annotations to the 3D window, I try to push using 3D documents as the source of your details so you don't end up with redundancy in your drafting. It's frustrating to put so much effort into the model and then end up converting it all to 2D details. A good place to start is by determining what you are going to use the 3D document for. Not only are they good for axon perspective details, but they're very useful for presentation drawings as well. There are two types of source views for a 3D document: floor plan projection or 3D projection. There are a lot of features that come along with a 3D document and multiple ways to manipulate the information for your desired visual effect. You can add shadows, create custom cut planes, highlight building materials, and create excellent technical drawings from all of your model data. ARCHICAD 13 introduced Teamwork and the BIM Server. Teamwork allows multiple users to work in the model simultaneously, on-site or remotely. There have been a great deal of advancements in Teamwork functionality since it was introduced, including the BIM Server and BIM Cloud. Here we'll take a look at the BIM Server and how the technology works. The GRAPHISOFT BIM Server is part and parcel of ARCHICAD. It was designed for architects, not for IT professionals. The BIM Server provides a real-time, robust, and flexible collaboration platform that works in any standard office setup through any standard computer network. And the best news is that it comes free of charge with every ARCHICAD license. The BIM Server is a simplified bundle of management and model component. Users can see them separately. The installer installs them in a single step. Graphisoft's ARCHICAD has to be installed on all of the architect's 64-bit Windows or Macintosh computers. All the ARCHICAD workstations will then work on a local copy of the full BIM project. Therefore, it's recommended to install sufficient memory for these desktop or laptop computers. The BIM Server and BIM Server Manager are installed on another machine. This can be a server computer, though it doesn't have to be. It is recommended to install the BIM Server on a dedicated computer rather than on an existing file server or Exchange server. And here too, you want a 64-bit Windows or Macintosh operating system, and the sufficient memory is also strongly recommended. The BIM Server Manager is part of the BIM Server installation package and is used to define the users and their roles in the Teamwork project. These roles can determine what architects, engineers, and clients are allowed to do, and these rights can vary from create a project, create and modify attributes, or just to view only. Next, we can look at some of the basic functionality of the Teamwork interaction. Let's have a look at some of the typical teamwork scenarios in ARCHICAD. We'll present how the architects, engineers, as well as clients or viewers can work together on the same project. In order to modify elements, first you must reserve them. Reservation can be done in 2D as well as 3D views. You simply select the elements, continue the work, and click the Reserve command of the Teamwork palette to reserve them. You can start working on the project because the element reservation is synchronized with the server instantaneously. All the architects in the team will see which elements belong to whom, either from the element info tags or via the colored workspaces. Please note the colored workspaces are also displayed in both 2D as well as 3D project views. And in certain specific design scenarios, you might need to work with the entire design project alone. This you can do by reserving the entire project with a single click. Teamwork allows multiple users to access the latest project data via BIM on the BIM Server, which is an application provided with ARCHICAD. So you can have multiple team members accessing live information from either within the same office or remotely around the globe. ARCHICAD 14 introduced the site survey import. The import surveyor data function allows you to import site survey data and have ARCHICAD build the site with the mesh tool automatically. You can find this tool under File, Interoperability, Place Mesh from Surveyors data in ARCHICAD 20. Previously, it was in the Design drop-down menu. I'll walk you through the steps in this video here. Site survey data can now be brought in using XYZ coordinates with a single click. You can request an XYZ file or a TXT file from your survey consultant, and you can automatically convert this into ARCHICAD mesh elements, providing an accurate 3D model of the environment. The importing process is very fast and accurate. The results can immediately be checked both in 2D and 3D. And once the mesh is imported into the file, it can be edited just like a regular mesh if needing. So visualizing the environment and creating an accurate model is now literally just one click away. ARCHICAD 15 introduced the Renovation feature. You can use the Renovation feature tool to create views that provide visual feedback on the status of each element at a particular stage of the renovation project. The Renovation feature is a tool within ARCHICAD that allows for multiple stages of construction to be modeled simultaneously. This is very beneficial because we're able to use a single model for all phases of construction. This is highly efficient and eliminates multiple model files and reduces our workload. The way that it's achieved within ARCHICAD is by selecting the elements and assigning them to particular statuses in ARCHICAD. There are 3 statuses: existing, new, and to be demolished. This slide shows a phasing model using the Renovation filter overrides. You can quickly convey 3 main phases of construction. So we have phase 1 in blue, phase 2 in red, and then phase 3 in green. This can also be used in conjunction with the floor plan and schedules. The photo here to the left is of an existing corridor within a wing that was to be renovated. The area was designed to house new district administration offices, and the Renovation feature allowed us to highlight the status of each element easily, as well as further use the information to integrate into our door schedules. This slide shows an axonometric detail or diagram on the left and a 2D section detail on the right, cut directly from the model. And the diagram to the left was created using the Renovation feature overrides and a 3D document. And it's very useful in supplementing the more traditional 2D approach to the right. So going back to the same concept of the 3D documents, the Renovation feature allows us to create diagrams as well, so you can tell the entire story of the project. We create these highly detailed models for all of our 2D drafting and don't take full advantage of all the 3D capabilities within the construction documents. Here's a colored sketch model using the Renovation filter overrides, a 3D document, and a custom cut plane. ARCHICAD 16 introduced the Morph Tool. ARCHICAD allows you to create objects on the fly or import and export existing objects from multiple softwares. The Morph tool is very useful in creating custom objects as well as modifying existing project elements. I'll show you the basic functionality of the Morph tool here. The purpose of this tool is to provide greater design freedom. A morph element is made up of nodes, edges, and surfaces, and these sub-elements are modified. The morph geometry is regenerated accordingly, and the morph elements have no geometric limitations, so all of their sub-elements can be moved and shaped in any direction. Since it's a full-fledged ARCHICAD element, it is correctly displayed in every viewpoint, including floor plans, sections, elevations, and 3D views, as well as schedules, lists, and so on. Any 3D construction element, including GDL-based element types such as objects, doors, or windows, can be converted to a morph and freely modified. So you can right-click on the object and say Convert to Morph, and then save it back as a unique GDL library part. So this provides a ton of design freedom as far as customizing objects and creating your own custom components within ARCHICAD, allowing you more design freedom. It's also a great tool to do early schematic massing for early design development. BIM Components is the ARCHICAD database for objects, and there's a direct upload and download to ARCHICAD. You can access BIM Components from the program and go straight to the website, and vice versa, using the globe function at the bottom of the library dialog box. Trimble SketchUp has the 3D warehouse as well, and this is a great place to locate manufacturers' content or use archival data you might have in SketchUp. You can easily import and export content here by using the download from 3D warehouse and the merge function in ARCHICAD. I usually recommend that you save them out again as ARCHICAD objects, and then this is a good place. You can also use the new favorites to organize all of your 3D SketchUp model pieces. The hypermodel is located on your mobile device, and you can access it through our app called BIMX, and we'll navigate through it in the following way. In this video, we'll show you a revolutionary way of navigating building information models through model-based hyperlinks. These links make the 3D model, together with 2D plans, full-fledged hypermodels. First, let's publish our demo BIMX hypermodel from ARCHICAD, and we can see the project in the ARCHICAD 3D window. We will publish using ARCHICAD's publisher using one-click publishing. After logging in with your Facebook, Google, or GRAPHISOFT ID, you can publish your design publicly or share privately with your clients right away. Then we can explore the architectural design on your tablet device, whether it's an iPad or Android. BIMX provides an easy-to-use game-like navigation on all touchscreen devices. We can navigate using various gestures of the BIMX project. The pinch zoom lets us get closer to the project. We can also use the joystick located at the lower right-hand corner of the screen to walk through the project. Please note the 3D markers representing the architectural project documents associated with the 3D model. Here, for instance, you can see the floor plans of the building project. By simply tapping on one of the floor plans, we will jump right to the 2D document representing the very floor plan. Keep in mind that there can be intelligent markers or hyperlinks in any view, such as on the floor plan where your markers are representing relevant sections or elevations. The navigation on the 2D is smooth and fast. It's thanks to advanced map display technology used by the navigation software. Let's use this marker to display a section view of the project. The section view also contains additional markers of the corresponding detail views. And then you can also return back to the 3D view from this section. Note the smooth transition, providing you a better understanding of the relationship between 2D and 3D. Keep in mind that the 3D cutting plane can be repositioned with the help of handles to give you an easy tool to check the details of your BIM right in 3D. To reveal the entire model, the 2D plan as well as the cutting plane can be switched off at any time. You can now look at how BIMX can be helpful exploring buildings from the inside. You can fly into the building and walk around a little bit. You can see that there are intelligent 3D markers inside the building as well. These show relevant interior views, details, and even floor plans. Now, if you'd like to see what's above the ceiling to check the routing of ducts and pipes, we simply overlay the appropriate MEP drawing. We can also display the list of all link drawings and details at this time. And open any of these documents instantly. Thanks to GRAPHISOFT's BIMX hypermodels, both clients and building professionals alike can freely explore and fully understand architectural design at home or on the project site. Once the model has been downloaded to your tablet, you do not have to be Wi-Fi connected. If you do want to receive updates from the office, then you would need a Wi-Fi connection. BIMX is also a great marketing tool. I've seen clients take it to meetings or just around town and show others what they've been doing in their projects, as well as students using BIMX and loading their portfolios for job interviews. We can also create fly-throughs and sun studies within ARCHICAD. This can be done with the create fly-through command. You can do fly-throughs of your project. Also within BIMX, you can save a grouping of cameras in the publisher before you publish out, and once it's opened in the actual BIMX file, then it will create a movie there that can be played, which is a lot faster than creating an actual rendered fly-through on your computer. So another visual tool, another marketing tool, and something else you can have at your disposal, free and out of the box. ARCHICAD 17 introduced priority-based connections, the BIM-based construction documentation solution. It simplifies the modeling and documentation of the building, even when the model contains high levels of detail. Here's a video of the priority-based connections in action. So here to the left you have the building materials dialog box, and to the right you have a section detail. So unlike previous versions of ARCHICAD, the model is doing the work for you. The building materials stop and start based on their priority, not only their location. So this allows you as a user to extend the line of the 3D before we start to bust apart the details into 2D format only. So I really think the priority-based connections allow the user to really complete the full circle of 3D and BIM. The additional 2D drafting that's required at the detail level becomes annotations, dimensions, and maybe some small information that you wouldn't necessarily model into the project. In theory, we can model everything, but we also have to take into account schedules, time constraints, and fees. Here we'll take a look at ARCHICAD 18's Maxon Cinerender. ARCHICAD 18 introduced Maxon Cinerender and provides enhanced, more realistic rendering capabilities right out of the box. No import or export is required. So you can have professionally rendered visualizations of your project without the need to buy, install, or learn additional software applications. Studying graphical representation nowadays is inevitable in the architectural design field, and architects have dozens of possibilities available for creating high-end architectural photo renderings, but very few solutions are smoothly integrated into the design workflow, letting architects keep their activities inside of ARCHICAD. Introducing Maxon Cinema 4D rendering engine, we can guarantee high quality photorealistic presentations and the best architectural workflow out of the box. For beginners to professionals, similar to real-world camera, every user has the freedom to produce professional images suited to their confidence without installing, buying, or learning new software. While the beginner users will opt for the point-and-shoot one-click workflow, anyone without training can further fine-tune the image by applying preset scenes and environments. Furthermore, experienced users can be detailed settings to create their professional renderings right inside the tool. The professional surface catalog comprises more than 300 pre-built surfaces, bring the building to life and the model instantly within ARCHICAD. An additional 500 plus pre-built surfaces can be downloaded for the components.com, exclusively available to Surface contract users. The Cinema 4D community on the web also hosts thousands of services that can be used right away in ARCHICAD 18. Brand new lamps with IES light standard support ensure real-life identical results and live rendering preview. And rendering in the background, unique architectural white rendering, and other features all contribute to very smooth workflow and excellent user experience. In using Cinema 4D, you'll see that having the ability to get photorealistic renderings as well as sketch renderings straight out of the box without having to import or export your model will greatly benefit your workflow timeline as well as your communication with clients and the rest of the office and design team. Photorealistic makes a big difference. The difference between what is possible now is that Maxon uses algorithms to define the materials and surface characteristics that gives the project a photorealistic image. This is not achievable with traditional rendering that uses bitmap technology. Examples of these advancements are also the ability to render the IES light characteristics, real grass, and caustics. Here's an example of an interior render straight from ARCHICAD, no post-production. Another example of an exterior rendering, again, no post-production. And then our one-click white model view. And then an outdoor nighttime view. Notice the realism of the water as well. That's a material that's included within ARCHICAD out of the box. The PDF explosion allows you to create a line drawing from any vector-based PDF and was included in ARCHICAD 18. One of my favorite features added to ARCHICAD 18 was called the PDF explosion. It allows you to take any vectorial PDF and turn it into a line drawing. You can place the PDFs in a worksheet. That's where I typically put them to use as reference using our trace and reference feature. But you can place any vectorial PDF into any of the 2D views within your ARCHICAD project. Once you've placed the PDF into the window, you can select the PDF and right-click. By right-clicking, you'll get the option for Explode into Current View. When I click on that, I get the associated dialog box. The first thing I get to decide is, do I want to keep the original PDF? Probably not for this instance. You should also make sure within your drawing manager that if you've brought PDFs into the project and you don't actually need them to have a live connection, that you just go ahead and embed them into your project. One of the great things about the PDF explosion is also that we get to decide if we want to bring in the layers or just use the drawing layer that I have it selected in ARCHICAD. Also, line types and fill types allows us to not have to have attribute creep, but you can actually import all of them or substitute with an ARCHICAD similar or have ARCHICAD generate a fill for you. Typically, I'm going to go with the Use Project Attributes selection. Now, if line weight is not important to you, you can select the uniform pen here and select a associated pen color. So you might use magenta, say, for plumbing reference or blue for mechanical. I'm going to go ahead and pick magenta just for the sake of the visual And then I can also change the font type as well. So this is great because Conair doesn't use my font type, so I'm allowed to go down and select any font that's loaded on my computer. I'll choose Bauhaus today, and once I select OK, it now converts all of my PDF information into a line drawing that is editable. You can ungroup that, and then you can see that the lines have the same editing characteristics as they do when I have just a line drawing. So great feature in ARCHICAD 18 allows you to now just use PDFs for reference documents. I've quit requesting DWGs from consultants and just use the PDFs because I get a what you see is what you get, and I don't have to deal with scale and text issues. ARCHICAD 19 had a lot of new features, but let's begin by reviewing some of the user improvements. Here I'd like to show you some of the user interface improvements. Most of the notable ones are going to be on the Mac platform. The first one that you'll see is that we now have a single window mode with docking palettes. So you won't have any more floating palettes in your workspace. You can size the window as needed and for any display preference that you like. You can also switch to full screen mode with one click. Under window, you'll have some additional options. There's a shortcut command for this as well. So if we switch to full screen mode, then I can use the drop-down menus if I need them, but then this allows me to have a lot more real estate on a smaller screen, such as a laptop. The palettes can also be docked and undocked. So if I open up the Renovation palette, for example, I can dock that now within the side taskbar here. I can also move toolbars around in my work environment and start to customize this as you've always done, but now that there's a similar interface between Mac and Windows, the same office work environment will work more seamlessly between platforms. So the next thing you're going to notice is the tabs at the top of the window. So this allows you with a double click to move through views of your model. You can have as many elevation sections, schedules that you like, but only one floor plan window at a time. You can move these back and forth in order of importance. You can also close them as needed, and then if you right click, you can go straight to the view settings as well to open up your view settings for that particular view. What this is going to allow you to do then is that you can actually even close the navigator palette. So if we go up under our window drop down palettes, I can go down to the navigator, click on that, hide it, and then I can see it here with a drop down. So then I can also turn off my Renovation palette. That goes away, and now I've opened a lot more real estate, and I can navigate through my model using the tabs. This also comes into play for predictive background processing, which we'll talk about later. And then if I need my full version of the navigator, it's still here to the right, and I can open a drawing or open a drawing in a new tab. So some pretty great user interface improvements there. I think you'll like that and have a much easier time of docking palettes, especially on the Mac, and eliminate a lot of the floating workspace inconveniences. Dimensioning narrow structures close to each other can make it difficult to read plans because the dimension numbers are too crowded. Until now, users solve this by dragging the dimension text away and using a manual pointer to connect them to the referred element. The new pointer for the dimension text eliminates this extra work. Add a pointer line to any dimension text. The pointer line is added automatically. When the dimension numbers are moved out of the area, then the pointer lines are associative and follow every change. Dimension text pointers work like labels with all their formatting possibilities. So in earlier versions, if you needed several lines worth of dimension text, you had to add a separate box unconnected to the dimension. As of ARCHICAD 19, you can add as many lines of dimension text as you need. The full dimension text can be formatted and shifted around as needed without falling apart, splitting dimensions, automatic story marker dimensions, and new pet palette options as well, like line breaking the dimension line. ARCHICAD 19 also overhauled the guidelines function to better match the way you work, making precise input very intuitive. You can create permanent guidelines dragged from the toggle at the four sides of any viewing window. The guidelines are placed by you and stay put until you remove them. You can have the option to move, erase, and lock with the right-click command. The new snap guides give you on-the-fly input, help when and where you need it. They are simple, smart, and temporary. The snap points feature, formerly special snap points, expanded with a useful new options. They work together with the snap guides. As of ARCHICAD 19, you can link the number of labels to each element, even elements in hot-linked modules. This feature gives you much greater freedom to label any element as needed. An example would be label a single element with several properties to show both the fire rating and the ID for the same wall. You can place the same label several times along a long wall. You can also place the same label at different scales and in different sizes as needed. On a multi-story element with varied geometry, such as a slanted wall, you can place a label at different position on each story. Label elements of a hot-linked module should happen within the host file. Refurbishment projects typically start with a time-consuming building survey phase. The may take a lot of time for manual measurements and the creation of a digital building model, but now 3D scanners can generate point clouds. They contain all of the geometry of the interior and the exterior of the building. Point clouds dramatically reduce the time spent on surveying, and it eliminates a lot of errors due to manual input. Some typical real-life examples of how 3D scanners might be used is to model an existing building before a renovation or surrounding buildings prior to a new build, and then also modeling the as-built structure to detect deviations from the plan. I'll walk you through the import process now. ARCHICAD 19 introduced point cloud support and offers the ability to import and display point clouds in your project. By using the import point clouds command under File, you can import point clouds received from consultants in the E57 or XYZ file formats. Various settings may be specified during the import process, such as mapping for the XYZ and RGB values, and resulting in a point cloud GDL object. To the various columns of the source file, defining the name of the generated GDL objects and settings folders to save it to actually create, and placing a generated GDL object in your project. The resulting point cloud GDL object will be visible multiple viewpoints, including the floor plan viewpoint and the 3D viewpoint, as well as section, elevation, and interior elevations. With each 3D point cloud within the point cloud having their own color value, the point cloud can be selected by clicking any point within the point cloud, and it can be cut with 3D cutting planes in the 3D viewpoint. So this is a great tool if you start to undertake laser scanning for as-built conditions for the pre-project process or after the project is completed to make sure that the actual built structure matches your virtual building. ARCHICAD is now the fastest performing BIM software on the market. Predictive background processing is how we're able to achieve accelerated performance, and at the end of the day, save you time and money by dramatically increasing your productivity. I'll show you a video now of the predictive background processing in action.
Buildings today are complex organisms of structures, systems, information, as well as inhabitants. The usage of buildings is typically uneven. However, smart buildings are able to optimize energy consumption by monitoring usage patterns and then forecasting very specific user demands. This not only helps reduce the overall energy consumption, but makes these buildings more livable as well. The handling of resources in personal computers shows very similar patterns to that of buildings. Therefore, a very similar strategy called predictive background processing can help reduce reaction times and increase the overall responsiveness of computer software. ARCHICAD 19 introduces this patent-pending technology to BIM as an industry first. ARCHICAD 19 monitors the architect's individual workflow patterns and takes advantage of the unused computer capacity by foreseeing potential user actions in the background. This greatly increases the overall responsiveness of the application, so it feels more agile with projects of any type or size. That's the dramatic difference you'll notice between this next-generation technology and standard BIM software without background processing. The time-saving results speak for themselves. ARCHICAD 19 opens BIM-based 3D views, sections, and elevations almost instantaneously, depending on the complexity of the design project, your workstation, and your workflow. Thanks to these innovations, architects will save a considerable amount of time, providing a smoother workflow and allowing focus on design.
And now on to the current version of ARCHICAD 20. ARCHICAD 20 has a simplified user interface with revamped font types and font sizes to optimize the working area. Architects prefer to use a large working area and have as much available screen real estate as possible. GRAPHISOFT product designers and software engineers were able to pinpoint the most and least frequently used functions and restructure available commands and options to provide a cleaner and larger workspace. The standard toolbar became leaner by the removal of system-related commands. The info box now contains a title for each panel. And if you resize the info box, the scroll bar and the title become hidden. So the info box occupies the least space possible. The toolbox now intelligently switches between icon only and icon with tool name modes. So if you change the width, that will modify itself automatically. And ARCHICAD is not only free from inessential visual noise, but also provides larger working area for design and editing. ARCHICAD 20's new element properties facilitate accessing information in your building information model. The Property Manager dialog lets you create properties arranged in groups and make these available for any construction element type. Information is the most valuable part of BIM, and ARCHICAD 20 introduced a new feature called Element Properties. The new properties introduced in ARCHICAD 20 helps designers get the most out of their virtual building. The new Property Manager dialog lets you create properties arranged by groups and makes these available for any construction element type. These properties can represent any kind of non-geometric information that appears in the Settings dialog of elements, where you can set their values to put the information into BIM. The ability of accessing the editing linked data is a critical requirement in any building design process. ARCHICAD 20's new property import-export commands implement an easy way for semi-automated data export to and from Excel spreadsheets. This enables you to access design information not created in CAD or BIM tools. When you save a schedule as an Excel file, you can provide that Excel file to a consultant, and then you can have them fill out the property values for the scheduled elements in the Excel file. You can then import these values from the Excel file and fill out a property values of the elements with them. Using this method, you can replace the tedious task of entering the consultant's data manually, where the number of possible human errors is considerable. So this would, for example, if you had a hardware consultant or an interiors consultant, you can export the schedule of your choice from ARCHICAD, have them open the associated Excel file, fill in the input related to their task, then import that information back into ARCHICAD, have it fill in your schedules, and then also assign those properties to all of the elements and objects within the ARCHICAD model. Pretty great stuff. ARCHICAD 20 has an improved its current IFC and BCF-based OpenBIM workflows by exporting color true precise element geometry, implementing survey points, and enhancing property management and mapping, sharing physical properties of the building materials, etc. ARCHICAD 20 is among the first BIM applications that support the open source IFC4 model exchange standard. IFC4 defines new coordination methods, design transfer view and reference view, to standardize reference model-based and parametric model-based interoperability between the different disciplines. Support of national BIM standards and classification systems is also available in exchanging information with other parties. As an example, the inventor of COBie has confirmed that ARCHICAD is 100% COBie compliant. That's good news for architects in the US, UK, and all other English-speaking countries. In addition to supporting IFC-based workflows, implementing the other ways of BIM data communication, such as GBXML and direct export to PHPP, mean that designers can exchange data with engineers and consultants from numerous disciplines without the risk of information loss. Information sharing via the purpose-made tools such as BIMX or generic tools such as Excel enables a much wider target group to get involved and use the wealth of information and that's stored in the BIM. Brand new graphical favorites provide excellent visual feedback. The favorites feature has been significantly enhanced in ARCHICAD 20. Favorites now provide great visual feedback and saved element settings by automatically generated color 2D or 3D thumbnail previews. These graphical favorites not only help the BIM managers in setting up and enforcing Office project templates, but also speed up everyday work. Favorites may now be organized into custom hierarchical folder structure for easier access and better management. You can also define many levels of folders in the favorites as needed. A new real-time search field at the top of the favorites palette helps you quickly find and apply the exact favorite you're looking for. You can also now import favorites via the XML files, but ARCHICAD project or preferences files as well. When exporting favorites, they may be exported to either an XML file or an ARCHICAD preference file. This ensures modeling, project, or office standards for every member of the team. It's also now possible to export selected favorites only So you can select the ones that you want from the list instead of selecting the entire favorites library. Graphical previews of favorites can now be directly displayed in the applied from the toolbox or the info box. So this simplifies using the favorites on a wider use. With these new favorites, the favorite palette becomes a tool that you can significantly enhance your everyday design and documentation workflow. And you can ensure that all of the project standards and office standards are applied, and that's what allows everyone's drawings to look the same. So at a minimum, we should hopefully have all of your annotations saved as favorites and be using this as part of your office template so that all the team members get to take advantage of the predefined settings. Well, thank you all for attending. I hope you all found the webinar useful. I think the true theme of the presentation is that over the years and the new releases, the real goal of our upgrades is to allow you as the architect or designer to have the most efficient and enjoyable workflow possible. Appreciate you taking the time to attend today. Your software manager will be following up with you to inform you of the upgrade specials we currently have available and answer any questions that you may have about getting the latest and greatest version of ARCHICAD. Thanks again and have a great day.